Welcome, everyone. I'm Kat Parnell with Birch Bark Editing, a literary enterprise that I co-founded with my partner, Max Fraser. And it's our great pleasure to be with you this evening to present some writers who are really fabulous. But more important than that, we're here this evening to highlight the terrible situation in Ukraine. And as a result, these writers have come together with us to encourage you to perhaps donate to one of two places that we vetted prior to the event. The first is Razom, which is an international organization. And it's a great place. Please, if you're, as you move through the holidays, spread the news about this organization. And the other is this book of poetry. And I say this book of poetry, I don't mean this, I mean this amazing book of poetry. It's Ukrainian-American Poets Respond. And the book can be purchased through Bookshop. And those are our two organizations, or a book and an organization that if you're moved, and I hope you are, to support Ukraine, please, those are two great places to donate. So this evening we have some really fabulous writers who will be reading from their work published by MicroLit Almanac. And there are a number of readers, and we will go through the lineup, but each of them will have something to say to you. And we're very glad that you're here and that you're going to be taking all of this in. Our first reader is Judith Baumel, and she had two poems published with MicroLit Almanac, and she'll also be talking a little bit about the situation in Ukraine. Judy?
I just wrote something on the chat that the book has been published by Yara Arts Group, which is a theater and poetry center based in New York, bringing Ukrainian culture of all sorts, music, etc., to the English-speaking world. And they've been at it for over 2 decades. And they're a really terrific group of people. I wish that Mariana Savka was here. Sorry. She's an incredible poet, publisher, teacher, singer, dancer, a dynamo of Ukrainian culture, and really at the forefront of Ukrainian independence. She was there at the Orange Revolution. She is at the Maidan, and this war that we talk about actually started in 2014. I think you all know that. And so Ukraine has been at war for all these years, and she's never stopped fighting for Ukraine, Ukraine as a nation, Ukraine as a culture, Ukraine as a literature. She was the first person to create a children's book press in the Ukrainian language, and it was such a fight. It's called Old Lions Press, which is a sort of nickname for the city of Lviv, where she lives, where she runs a bookstore, where she hosts refugee children every weekend, giving them toys and games. And I don't want to say much more politically speaking about the Ukrainian situation, but I'm grateful for Europe and the United States for supporting Ukrainian people. Although, in fact, if we didn't, we would be seeing this at our doorstep. So any amount of money we can give to any organization in Ukraine is really money that is working for us as well. I want to read a poem by Mariana that she wrote in, I think this was about May this year. It's translated by two great writers, Olena Jennings, who's the editor of the Yara Arts Group book that you might perhaps be interested in, And Oksana Lushina, who is a poet, published also in English, translated by Elena. And this is Mariana's poem, My God Forms Battalions All Night. And I just, by the way, right now, I double checked before we went on. It's 5 degrees in Kyiv. It's below 0 in Kharkiv. It's freezing there, and it's been that way since October. It's a really cold place right now with no electricity. You can't have heat in most places without electricity. My God forms battalions all night. My God forms battalions all night, shoots with aim, leads battles. My God tolerates curses and wipes his glasses. My God doesn't hide behind anyone and lays a holy cover over the children. My God buys coagulants and stands in line to give blood. My God can't sleep as the whole country stands guard. My God grants me permission not to forgive and tells everything as it is. I think I will read, I know I will read the 2 poems that Pat and Max have generously honored by putting them into the Best of Net contest. And I am so honored to be with everybody else who's going to be reading next. It's an amazing group. I've been so happy to read every week, to read what Birch Bark is publishing and sharing with the world. So thank you, Kat. Thank you, Max. First poem is called At the Lyman. One night we opened the door for Elijah, and he brought instantly to my nose the rain green wet, the brown, black, gray, pink, yellow wet of early spring. There is no red wet, just red light in the eye as he enters the fire. And the next poem is called Free Range. It's part of a sort of alphabetic sequence in my latest book. It's called The American Cousins from A to Z. So At the Lyman was I, for reasons I could explain, but I won't. And this one is called, the title is Free Range. All those eggs make one pettish. Abundant manufacture of calcium and protein and package, the tensile strength, the arch of the architectonic oval. Obligations of motherhood, all those pre-eggs in the ovary, the moist granary, the storehouse of dead futures. Oblate oratory of cackles. Don't divagate my hen. It is all in your one basket. And I'd like to introduce Ciaran Cooper, our next reader.
Thanks, Judy. Wow, those were great pieces. So thank you all for coming tonight. Thanks, Kat and Max, for setting this up. I'm going to read a piece of microfiction. It's the opening story to what I've written as a novel in stories, and I had the pleasure of working with Kat on putting this together. And so far, out of the 15 stories, I've had 4 published. And this is the opening piece. It's a piece of microfiction. It's called Bad Feeling. Eddie and me found these pink little blind baby mice under a rotten log. and we were scared of snakes getting them, so we put them in a pile of leaves in the shade. But when we came back later, they were covered in buzzing yellow jackets. At lunch, my mom told us you shouldn't touch wild baby animals because their mothers will smell you on them and leave them to die. I wish she told us that before we found those baby raccoons in the barn with their soft, fat bellies we couldn't help rubbing. Thanks, that's it. I'm happy to introduce our next reader, Ruth Edgett.
Sorry, I was looking for my unmuting. Thank you very much, Ciaran. I love your story, and I love that it comes before mine because mine's about kids too. And it comes from one of the wonderful Birch bark editing meet and greet nights where they give it, we talk about writing and they give us these really cool prompts. And so the prompt was about, think about a time when you were a young, when there was an adult that you, I'm not exactly how they put it, but that you know, really wanted to stand up to. So here's my story. It's also a microfiction, although the longest version, I think it just comes in just under 1,000 words. What are you looking at? Joseph doesn't beat Wanda, with his fists anyway. He's shouting up the stairs at her as we sit on the bed listening to her mother's records and trying on makeup I brought over. Hiding up there, painting your face and whatnot, are you? When she doesn't answer, he says, "What's the matter? Scared to speak?" He lets go a laugh, but it's not funny. Wanda reaches over to the bedside and turns up the volume, then turns it down again because he could yell at her for it being too loud. Plaster that stuff on all day and it won't fix the hound dog face you were born with, he says. Wanda swallows, like you do when you're about to barf. We can tell he's right at the bottom of the stairs. Then we hear paper rustling, which means he must have found our books. And her sketch pad, the one teacher gave Wanda today when she told her, "You could be a really fine artist someday." "What the hell's this?" he says. "Dog or?" We know he's looking at the drawing she made of Buster when we got home from school. "Oh, I know," he says. "Self-portrait." And he gets a laugh out of this. Joseph's not supposed to be home this early. Something must have happened at the lobster wharf again. Buyers are tight with the prices this year, they say. As soon as Wanda and I saw the car rocking into park before the wheels had even stopped moving, we knew it was too late to run downstairs and pick up our things. He cursed at Buster and banged around outside for a while, but now he's come into the house. We're on the bed, staring at each other over makeup and mirrors between us on the spread. "You better go," she says, not looking at me, pushing my stuff across. "But," I say, thinking she could use a friend, that maybe I can soften the blows somehow. And I know they are blows because she flinches every time he sends another zinger. "Whoever told you that you could draw?" he says, and we both shrink at the sound of those thick pages hitting the floor and sliding. "Pain in the ass," he says. "All you've ever been, goddamn Jesus, pain in the ass. Now you've brought home something else I'm going to have to pay for." And he's fallen into that whining kind of sing-song rhythm he falls into once he gets warmed up. Teacher told Wanda she didn't even have to pay for the pad. It's hers, she said. Draw whatever she wants. And not even worry about whether she'll be graded on it. So you can develop your talent, teacher said. "Nothing but a long, lanky streak of misery," he moans from downstairs. That line's one of his favorites. "Just go," Wanda says to me, eyes still downcast, blue eyeshadow shimmering in the light from the bedroom window. She picks up a Kleenex and begins to rub it off. "Leave it on," I want to say. "It's pretty on you, way prettier than on me." But I say nothing. Somehow I know that's not what she needs right now. What she needs is for her best friend not to hear her father telling her how worthless she is. So I get up off the bed and try to force some cheer into my goodbye as I head for the door. All right, see you tomorrow then. Yeah, she says, unfolding her long legs, way longer than mine, and following me off the bed. She goes to the record player and picks the arm off the vinyl just as Neil Diamond's winding into the chorus of I Am, I said. Why your mother ever decided to take you home, that fetches me up. I turn to her. Go, Wanda says, voice urgent, eyes pleading. So I do. And I pull the door firmly shut behind me. Maybe the words won't hurt so much through a closed door, and start downstairs. Joseph's sitting on the living room couch facing the stair rail. Guess I'm staring because he's staring back. He doesn't think much of me. I can tell by how he often jokes around in his sneering way. Mommy and Daddy bought you a pretty lunchbox, did they? Little lady's too good to carry her peanut butter and jelly in a paper bag like Wanda. I never give an answer because I know he never expects one, never wants one. About the middle stair, my legs stop moving. Wanda's pretty, and she loves her dog, and she's smart, and she can draw better than anyone else in school. Who do you think you are? Joseph is still glaring at me, and I don't turn away. Wanda's too good for what you say to her. She doesn't know that, but I do. And you're just a big old bag of wind. Need somebody to poke a hole in you. Joseph breaks the silence with that same whiny, shouty voice he's been aiming upstairs at Wanda. What the hell are you looking at? He says. I'm holding the rail, looking right back at him. Not too goddamn much. That's what I'm looking at. I could say that. I could say that right now and cut him down. A little 5 nothing 13-year-old saying what a 6'6" heavy thug knows is true. I could run the last few steps down and out the front door before the words even register. But what about Wanda if I do? So I bite my bottom lip, take my hand from the rail, wrench that door open and run wild for the road. Then my top blows. Not too goddamn much. That's what I'm looking at, I yell. I'm not looking at fucking anything at all. Thank you. Sorry to swear at you. Our next reader is Craig Holt.
I suppose I should unmute myself. Hi, everybody, and thanks to those of you who read before. It's amazing stuff. It's great to read it and great to hear it read. What I'm going to read is a flash fiction piece called Soon Enough. This piece began at one of the meet and greets in response to a writing prompt with a very tight time limit. I really like those timed exercises because they don't let you get too self-conscious about what you're doing. You go where you go. And for me, that ends up either being very, very honest or very weird, as it turns out sometimes. But this is, I would say, one of the honest ones. My son is still with me. We are sitting in the grass on a warm summer evening, looking up when the star-burdened sky unzips itself. A seam of light bursts to life straight above us, flashes over the western hills and disappears. The night deepens around us, briefly darkened by the dazzle of its passing. My boy, 6 years old and eager to build a fortress of facts around himself, as though information might protect him from the condition laying siege to his body, grabs my arm and gasps, "What was that?" And I, hoping there's time yet for truth and room still for wonder, say, "That's a soul moving on." Damn it. Distracted by my worries, I have stupidly opened the door to the conversation about death. Why didn't I just say shooting star and encourage him to make a wish? For a bicycle, maybe, or a cure. He will know the rest soon enough. All those facts for which he is so hungry, the knowledge that will break his heart that has already broken mine, the emptiness of space, the black hole gravity of time, the loss and leaving that none of us cares to face. It can wait. Let it wait. Right now, let there be distant stars and warm nights. Let him hold my hand and smile back at the shimmering dark. Let us rest together in this moment before my sun blazes across the sky and is gone. Thank you. Our next reader is Gail Hosking.
Okay, I had to unmute myself as well. The piece that I'm going to read was also a prompt at one of the meet and greet with Birch bark. I can't remember what the subject was. I do know that I have had an obsession with war and the details of it since I was a young girl growing up in Germany in the Cold War, not too far from the Iron Curtain, near, on an American army base. So this is what came out of it. And so I think it's also natural. I've also, since those days, been very frightened of Russians because that's all that I heard about, that they were coming any minute. So when the war in Ukraine broke out, I naturally wanted to know more, and actually have written a lot of poems about it, even from a distance. Anyway, this is called 54 Miles from Dachau. I play in the forest near our apartment building, assigned by the American military 10 years after the war is over. I am building a home with rocks and sticks and leaves piled into my make-believe kitchen. Sometimes I bring my doll and my younger sisters to live there with me on summer afternoons. We breathe in the air of freedom, even as I look over the nearby rock wall to see barbed wire around the base across the street. The arched gate we enter for popsicles at the snack bar, or for books at the library above the parade grounds, or for a Western movie on Saturday afternoons, is the same gate those gray SS uniforms once walked through with heavy stamping steps, their black boots making a melodic pattern of violence. I do not know this yet. My father brings me to Dachau one Sunday afternoon, and we stand in front of the gruesome pictures with their striped pajamas and raw-boned skeletal bodies piled onto bunk beds. I am silent as I stare in disbelief as a 10-year-old. It is only a piece of a puzzle I cannot put together, maybe never will. The German woman who comes to clean, the German cafe owner and friend of my father's, the lady at the ice skating rink who gives me gummy bears in exchange for my German mark. Who are these people now? A fragment of flesh, a taste of terror, roses near ashes, a child playing house in a forest, slipping her idle hours away within whispers too strong to hear. Thank you. And now Cheryl Pappas is going to read.
Thank you, Gail. Wow, I'm still recovering from that reading. That was really beautiful. Thank you. Kat and Max, thank you so much for hosting this tonight and for encouraging donations to Ukraine. I'm sure, like a lot of you, I feel helpless here, but whatever we can do adds a little bit of hope. But I'm really happy to read tonight. Thank you so much. And thank you, my fellow readers, for being with me tonight. This is called Red Pepper Mother. And it was the first, I think it was the first micro and MicroLit Almanac in the new publication. It also came from a meet and greet. So Red Pepper Mother. Your bony shoulders, red pepper, tell me you're ready to go wherever we take you. In our basket, in our fridge drawer, on the counter ready to be sliced wide open. I can almost see you putting on a coat, heading out the door, always offering your useful body, always holding in something especially dear, a certain sweetness that comes out only when you've been torn apart, underneath all your practical, responsible gestures. I think, red pepper, the best way to show you love is to let you roast so you can let go at last of all that skin, all those ripened seeds, so that you can be nothing but your sweet and succulent center, to lose everything you don't need. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce my friend, Erica Plouffe Lazure.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks to MicroLit, Almanac, Kat and Max. You guys are just powerhouses. It's really exciting to be reading with everybody this evening. And thank you so much for spotlighting the two organizations that that are supporting the crisis in the Ukraine. It's really heartening that we were able to come together tonight to do what we can to help. And as what Cheryl said, and we feel helpless, and this is a way to do something. And also thanks so much to Judy, Ciaran, Ruth, Craig, Gail, and Cheryl for your words and sentiments. And I feel very honored to be reading with all of you. And I feel like I need to go to these meet and greets. I need to generate some new information, new stories. So, all right, I have a piece. It's called The Games We Played, and it is flash nonfiction. So here it is. In Dizzy Circle, we'd spend as long as our centers of balance would let us on our bicycles, one clockwise bike trailing the other until we'd stop. The trick was to not let your speed shift too fast or slow to keep pace with the person ahead of you, and ahead of Justin, then behind Philip, then Danny. Sometimes Christy would come by, or Shelley, but I don't remember them with bikes. David, whose hearing aids always squeaked when he talked, never rode a bike. Sometimes he'd stand in the center of the dizzy circle, trying to count us or grab us by our shirts with his long arms. No one ever wanted to get grabbed by David, but he was so slow, he could barely reach us. In the winter, the older boys across the street hosed down their hard-packed dirt backyard for a hockey rink, and they'd spend the cold months behind their tall wooden fence, out of view. My brother and I had a three-wheeler, an ATC, and we'd ride up and down our driveway from the mountainous snowplow pile by our barn to the street some 50 feet up. I stopped after the ATC flipped and pinned me going up the snowplow mountain, the very reason they banned them nationally 5 years later. My brother rode on. In the summer, the same older boys' nets and sticks would take over Chapin Street, and they'd play street hockey until late into the night. No windows that I know of were broke by a wayward pup. My brother once misfired his BB gun, aiming for a cat, but got the windowsill instead. Inhaled so much gasoline, they took him to the hospital. Got mugged on his paper route, resulting in a fat lip. I once leapt off an ancient skateboard from a very steep hill, drank nail polish remover because of its lemony scent, sipped warm beer with a friend overnight in my grandfather's camper. We poured out the rest of the beer. Some days we played Dukes of Hazzard. I was Daisy, Star Wars. I was Princess Leia, or Annie, all of us orphans. Other days we trailed one after the other on our bikes, ending up in our dizzy circle, whizzing past David again and again. His look, one of constant puzzlement, like he was just getting the hang of what this world had to offer. Thank you.
Well, all these readings, thank you, Erica. All these readings were phenomenal, and they reoriented my center of balance. There's wonder and awe and fear and terror and love and not understanding things. All of these themes appear in the work that you heard this evening. And I hope that you take all of the feelings that were evoked in the poems and the fiction and the nonfiction that we heard this evening and use it wisely as we move into the holiday season. And please, from me, Kat Parnell at Birch Bark, and from my partner, Max Frazier, please do what you can to support Ukraine, anything at all. We all think that $5 doesn't really matter. It does. It matters a lot. So anything that you can do, we appreciate it. And from me, from Max, from all the readers this evening, we thank you. And maybe we'll see you at our next mix and meet or meet and greet or whatever we're doing in January. Happy December, everyone. Thank you and bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.